Disruptors and curious minds, CEOs, founders, book lovers. Welcome to the Thinking on Paper book club. We're reading Nexus. We've nearly finished Nexus. Thank God we've nearly finished Nexus. We're on chapter 10, totalitarianism, all power to the algorithms. And if there's one thing that this book has taught us, is that no matter where you are on the spectrum of doom, utopia, doom, utopia, doom, utopia, the AI spectrum of doom, utopia, the world's never going to be the same again. There's a free AI and a post-AI world, and however it plays out, it's going to be different. But chapter 10, discussions of the ethics and politics of the new computer network often focus on the fate of democracies. If authoritarian and totalitarian regimes are mentioned, it's mainly as a dystopian destination that we might reach if we fail to manage the computer network wisely. However, as of 2024, more than half of us already live under authoritarian and totalitarian regimes, many of which were established long before the rise of the computer network. To understand the impact of algorithms and AI on humankind, we should ask ourselves what their impact will be, not only on democracies like the United States and Brazil, maybe they should have an asterisk just there, Jeremy, but also on the Chinese Communist Party and the Royal House of Saud. Chapter 10, Jeremy, over to you.
Stay tuned, friends and neighbors, because there's one of the largest countries, or one of the largest superpowers in the world is actually starting to lose their self-correcting mechanisms, guys. We're seeing this shit in real time, and it's desperately frightening.
Friday, I don't care anymore. On Friday, it was the first time that I've been genuinely scared. Watching the White House, watching that three-way discourse was terrifying. Yes, I think you're losing your self-correcting mechanisms.
Yeah, brought to you first on Thinking on Paper, the first to actually call it. Hopefully we continue flexing back from the doom to prosperity.
Doom, utopia, doom, utopia.
Oh my gosh. All right. The one thing that stood out to me and reined me in on my rabbit hole, Mark, because I feel
No, go to it.
I could go deep on this one, but my Latin is not very good, but Damnatio memoriae, is that a right way to say this?
Let's call it. Yeah, that'll do.
Okay, so this talks about the idea of expunging the memories of rivals, and this is rooted back in the day of Caracalla, who murdered his brother, Geta, to get to the throne. He wanted to get rid of all traces of Geta, scraping his images off coins, crossing inscriptions and insignias out, and if you dare mention his name under the throne of Caracalla, you could actually be put to death, right? So we start thinking like, okay, that sounds pretty barbaric, but this continues to happen. It's continuing to happen today. Harari is a historian, right? And we learn from history, and there's all of these things that we can learn from history. But now we're in a situation where, especially related to the history of racism and oppression in the United States, that is now being attempted, just like Caracalla did to Geta, out of our schools and not teaching that kind of thing, and taking things like Vera Rubin? Vera Rubin's plaque off of a astronomical observation station, recently taken off because she basically found dark matter. The scientist that literally was like, hey guys, I figured out this whole dark matter thing. Remember the blob that no one can explain? The equations told us about it. I got it. And this woman did it in the face of so many men trying to hold her down in the arena of science, right? So now the regime is actually scraping off, just like happened to Geta from Caracalla. Her name in reference to her tremendous effort is being expunged.
Why are they taking her plaque down?
Because it's a woman succeeding in adversity in a male-driven industry or sect.
It's been taken down because she was a woman.
Exactly. I could run down this for hours and hours, but suffice it to say, guys, Damnatio memoriae is in full effect. Be aware of it, and be sure to just keep your mind open to the true understanding of things, as opposed to co-opting things to make political gain. All right, Mark, that's it, man.
Okay, Party Political Broadcast brought to you by Thinking on Paper. So chapter 10, there was something which I wanted to bring to your attention, and it was the bot prison. The lack of personality of an AI is actually its superpower in the totalitarian way. Like, the way to not have totalitarian regimes fall under the power of AI is possible due to the flaw in AI, or maybe not the flaw, the lack of humanity, the lack of personality. So here's an example of why AI might not be the totalitarian dictator's best friend. The foundation of every despotic information network is terror, but computers are not afraid of being imprisoned or killed. If a chatbot on the Russian internet mentions the war crimes committed by Russian troops in Ukraine, tells an irreverent joke about Vladimir Putin, or criticizes the corruption of Putin's United Russia Party, what could the Putin regime do to that chatbot? FSB agents cannot imprison it, torture it, or threaten its family. They can turn it off, but that's more difficult. I just love this idea of the alignment problem, Russian style. And you program the AI to believe in this Russian propaganda. He speaks of doublespeak, obviously, and the Russian constitution makes these grandiose claims. Everyone shall be guaranteed freedom of thought and speech. Everyone shall have the right freely to seek, receive, transmit, produce, and disseminate information. The freedom of the mass media shall be guaranteed. Censorship shall be prohibited. So you program that all into the AI, and the AI spends like 10 seconds on the internet and go, hold on, I call bullshit here. And then the AI starts ridiculing the authoritarian dictatorship. I like that. The alignment problem, Russian style.
It's amazing. And we alluded to the lack of emotional context for bots a few chapters ago that talks about like they succeed because they merely respond logically. They don't respond emotionally. So when I get pissed off and you say something against my beliefs, I'm going to rage up and just look to eviscerate your argument rather than being logical about it. So that is actually, if we're bouncing back from utopia, dystopia, that's actually an interesting side of the chatbot.
There was a little bit of hope amongst the darkness of Nexus. Maybe AI is actually, it's kind of a self-correcting mechanism for totalitarian nut jobs, because it's not going to fall for their bullshit.
Well, let's take it a step further. The next few pages talking about this thought experiment about the totalitarian equivalent of Bostrom's paperclip apocalypse.
Yeah.
So here, quote, great leader. This is the AI, the algorithmic AI speaking to the despotic leader. Great leader, we're facing an emergency. I've crunched millions of data points, trillions of data points. The pattern is unmistakable. The defense minister is planning to assassinate you this morning and take power himself. The hit squad is waiting, Mark, waiting for his command. Give me the order and I'll liquidate him with a precision strike. And then you reply as the leader, but the defense minister is my most loyal supporter. Only yesterday he said this to me. And then I respond, great leader, I know he said this to you, but I hear everything. I know what he said afterwards and what he talked about with the hit squad. And for months, I've been picking up these disturbing patterns. You reply, are you sure you're not fooled by deep fakes? I reply, I'm afraid the data is relied on 100% genuine action. So here we go. What choice do you make as the leader using the AI?
I trust the AI if I'm a megalomaniac dictator. Just screw the defense minister, off with his head.
Crazy.
Whoever tells me what I want to believe, I will believe. And I guess that's the AI.
And then also the sense of urgency, right? The sense of urgency created by this drives you to even be more frantic about your response to it, less thoughtful.
It's a nice demonstration of an AI accumulating power. But that's not its raison d'etre. That's not what it was set out to do. It's a byproduct. It's like the paperclip. It's the alignment problem, isn't it? And it's the byproduct of its instructions, the best way that it can think of to create the ultimate paperclip factory, going back to episode 7, is to seek ultimate power and then wield it. If algorithms ever develop capabilities like those in the thought experiment, dictatorships would be far more vulnerable to algorithmic takeover than democracies. It would be difficult for even a super Machiavellian AI to seize power in a distributed democratic system like the United States. Even if the AI learns to manipulate the US president, has it? It might face opposition from Congress, the Supreme Court, state governors, the media, major corporations, and sundry NGOs, which is why, going back to chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, take down the self-correcting mechanisms, as just mentioned. And
if you want a real-time view of this, guys, you just watch the news today and see the step-by-step dismantling of our self-correcting mechanisms.
I'm only laughing because it's just, if you got to laugh, otherwise you'd just be in a hole of doom and depression.
Last two bits here on chapter 10. This interesting quote: the weakest spot in the AI shield is with dictators. I think we're already alluding to that. I thought that was a pretty interesting quote. And then We're alluding to a couple super famous, wicked, smart people, Bertrand Russell, Albert Einstein, the Russell-Einstein Manifesto as it relates to nuclear technology. Quote, this is from the manifesto. This is really interesting. I'd never seen this before, never read it specifically. We appeal as human beings to human beings. Remember your humanity and forget the rest. If you can do so, the way lies open to a new paradise. If you cannot, there lies before you the risk of universal death. So he puts this at the end of the chapter. Wow, pretty frank. They're talking about nuclear proliferation and use of nuclear weapons. But couldn't that statement apply to where we're headed from an AI perspective if we're not careful? I think that's what he's alluding to.
Power lies at the nexus where the information channels merge. Right, let's wrap this bad boy up, Jeremy, shall we? Shall we get to the finale, the main event?
Yes, well, we'll wrap in chapter 10 and moving on.
Yeah.
All right, stay
tuned for chapter 11.
Stay tuned for the next one.